Last month, Nicola Sturgeon confirmed that the 1% cap on public sector pay rises is to be scrapped next year. Ahead of talks on just what is affordable fare and the true cost of living, unions have begun ramping up the rhetoric, with officials from at least 3 organisations telling Scotland Tonight they won't accept anything less than inflation. Others have indicated that they'll be asking for a 5% pay hike and warning of strike action if demands are not met. James Chain has the story.
There are 500,000 public sector workers in Scotland. Police, firemen, nurses, paramedics. They make up about 20% of the total workforce, and like their counterparts across the UK, most have seen their pay fall in real terms over the past 7 years. Now the 1% cap on pay rises could be lifted, but there's a political battle being waged over what will be offered. It whirls around workers like Kat Taylor. She's one of a small army of people who staff Scotland's museums and cultural landmarks. As the friendly face of the National Museum, it's her job to help visitors navigate the treasures inside. But the pay cap has left her picking her way through a financial minefield too.
It means that you do struggle for things like raising money for a mortgage. It means you've got to think about the decisions that you're making in your life. So do you want to have children, for example? Can you afford to have children when your wage is not increasing as the years progress? It's not just a problem for me, that's of course a problem for everybody who's underneath this pay cap.
As Kat and her colleagues wait for the discussions between unions and the government, they're not feeling optimistic.
Is it going to be in line with inflation? Is it going to make up for the losses that we had previously? And everybody's concern is that that isn't going to happen.
We've been told unions began ramping up the pressure on the Scottish Government after the UK Government signalled it may lift the cap for workers down south. But right now they're getting no firm answers from ministers. We understand some union officials believe 5% would be a reasonable request. Senior people in 3 separate unions told us they won't accept anything less than inflation, which is 2.9. There's an understanding there won't be serious progress until after the Westminster budget in November, but some union bosses are warning of strike action if a rise isn't forthcoming.
I think we'll be talking to both governments, but I think that the fact that the Scottish Government now has additional tax powers, the fact that it's indicated that it's prepared to at least consider using those, is bound to send a message both to people who use services, but also to the people who deliver those services.
Those people are already protesting both sides of the border. The different nations could see a different deal, and some of the negotiations will be done sector by sector too, perhaps leading to a patchwork solution. But at Holyrood, the battle lines are already being drawn.
There was an opportunity to scrap that cap in February. Labour put forward an amendment, and if that had been accepted in the budget, we wouldn't still be talking about it. So I think I want to wait and see what the Scottish Government are now going to bring forward in their budget.
What we're saying is, in principle, we want to depart from the pay cap, and the inflationary pressures is a consideration as part of that. But I've had a good engagement with the trade unions and I want that to continue.
Whichever way you turn, public sector workers say they've been squeezed long enough. Their roles often revolve around service, protection, giving care. Now, it appears they're ready for a fight too.